While the mainstream media keeps insisting the economy is on solid ground, 13 specific states are quietly entering a financial death spiral that could wipe out your home equity overnight. If you own property in one of these danger zones, ignoring the data we are about to reveal could be the most expensive mistake of your life. Before we expose the list that real estate agents don't want you to see, make sure you smash that subscribe button for Tax Hack Pro. We are the only channel that digs deep into the financial data to protect your assets and your wallet from the economic storms that others pretend aren't happening. Right now, we are looking at a set of foreclosure numbers released just last week that completely contradicts the narrative that it is a good time to buy. The data from November 2025 paints a terrifying picture. We are not just talking about a market correction. We are talking about a structural collapse in 13 specific states. These aren't just red flags. They are flashing sirens. Let me ask you a serious question. Do you know which state just saw a 145% explosion in foreclosures in a single year? Do you know which state is currently processing one foreclosure for every 1,800 homes, while property values are simultaneously crashing? If you don't know the answers, you are flying blind in a hurricane. In this video, we are going to break down the 3 specific financial triggers that are colliding right now. We will identify exactly which 13 states have entered the danger zone based on the absolute latest data. This is financial damage happening in real time. In October alone, foreclosure filings hit nearly 37,000 properties nationwide. That is a 20% jump compared to last year. At the same time, the median asking price per square foot has dropped below 2024 levels. The momentum is gone. The Case-Shiller Index is barely breathing. But here is the secret that wealthy investors know, and you need to know too. This pain isn't spread evenly. It is concentrated in specific pockets where the math no longer works. Here are the 3 triggers creating this perfect economic storm. Trigger number 1 is the explosion of foreclosure activity during a supposed economic expansion. When you see foreclosures jump 20% while the government claims unemployment is low, that is a sign of deep, rot-level structural weakness. Trigger number 2 is the equity death loop. This happens when home prices fall at the exact same time foreclosures rise. This is the most destructive force in real estate. Falling prices erase your equity, which leads to strategic defaults. Those defaults dump more cheap houses on the market, which pushes prices down even further. It is a vicious cycle. Trigger number 3 is the fiscal paralysis of state governments. When the housing market implodes in these 13 states, the local governments are too broke to bail anyone out. There is no safety net. Now, let's get into the list. These are the 13 states where your money is most at risk. Number 1 is Florida. The Sunshine State has become the epicenter of the foreclosure crisis. As of late 2025, Florida is recording one foreclosure for every 1,829 housing units. That makes it the most distressed housing market in the entire United States. In a single month, over 5,500 filings were logged. But here is the Tax Hack Pro analysis on why this is happening. It is not just interest rates. It is the insurance crisis. The average homeowner insurance premium in Florida has surged past $11,000 a year. That is a 340% increase over the national average. This destroys the debt-to-income ratio for buyers. Even if you can afford the mortgage, you cannot afford the escrow payment. Climate risk pricing has finally caught up with the market. Inventory in places like Cape Coral has jumped 51%. In Sarasota, it is up 48%. This is fear-driven selling. People are realizing that holding property in Florida is a liability, not an asset. And with domestic migration falling off a cliff, dropping from over 200,000 new residents to under 70,000, the greater fool theory is dead. There are no new buyers coming to bail you out. Number 2 is Colorado. This is the shocker on the list. Colorado recorded the single largest year-over-year surge in foreclosures in the entire nation. Filings didn't just go up. They skyrocketed by 145%. This is a market that everyone thought was bulletproof, but look at the state's balance sheet. In less than 12 months, Colorado swung from a budget surplus to a projected $750 million shortfall. That is financial whiplash. It tells us that the underlying economy is incredibly fragile. Denver, which was a darling of the pandemic-era migration, is showing massive cracks. Office vacancy rates are elevated. The tech sector is wobbling. And inventory levels are higher than they were before the pandemic. When you have 1 out of every 4,500 homes facing foreclosure in a state that relies on growth to fund its budget, you have a recipe for disaster. Number 3 is Illinois. We call this the pension death spiral. Illinois is trapped. It has a high foreclosure rate combined with $144 billion in unfunded pension obligations. That is money the state owes but does not have. The pension funding ratio is a dismal 46%. Why does this matter to a homeowner? Because when the state is broke, they come for your property taxes. Illinois already has some of the highest property taxes in the nation. As people leave, and they are leaving in droves, with over 56,000 residents fleeing in 2024 alone, the tax burden falls on fewer people. This creates a feedback loop. High taxes lower home values. Lower home values mean the state needs to raise tax rates to get the same revenue. Higher rates drive more people away. If you own a home in Illinois, you don't really own it. You are renting it from the state government for the price of your property taxes, and the rent is going up while the value goes down. Number 4 is South Carolina. This is the silent crisis. South Carolina now holds the second highest foreclosure ranking nationwide, one foreclosure for every 1,982 homes. This isn't making national news yet, but the data is undeniable. The distress here is geographic. It is happening in Dorchester, Kershaw, and Berkeley counties all at once. This isn't a bad neighborhood. It is a regional economic failure. South Carolina relies heavily on manufacturing and tourism. Those are the first two things to break when consumers get squeezed. Without a diverse economic base, South Carolina has no insulation. When the recession hits full force, this foreclosure wave is going to turn into a tsunami. Number 5 is California. The Golden State is tarnishing fast. California is dealing with a $58 billion budget deficit and nearly $500 billion in total liabilities. But the real story is the exodus, a net outflow of nearly 240,000 residents in a single year. The people leaving are the tax base, the high earners, and the businesses. Inventory is exploding. In San Bernardino County, listings are up 120%. In Kings County, 130%. Homes are sitting on the market longer, and prices in places like Sacramento are already turning negative. California is in a doom loop. Businesses leave because of taxes and regulation. The state loses revenue, so it considers raising taxes or cutting services. This drives more businesses away. For the homeowner, this means your property value is fighting against a current of economic decline. If you haven't subscribed to Tax Hack Pro yet, do it now, because we are going to be covering the California tax situation in depth in future videos. Number 6 is Delaware. Small state, massive vulnerability. Delaware posted the highest bankruptcy rate in the country recently. Over 1% of all businesses in the state went under in a single year. That is a terrifying statistic. When businesses fail, jobs disappear. When jobs disappear, mortgages don't get paid. Delaware now ranks among the worst states for foreclosure rates. Unemployment has jumped from 3.7% to 4.3%. Because Delaware is so small, it cannot absorb shocks. It has no buffer. If the regional economy of the Northeast sneezes, Delaware catches pneumonia. Number 7 is Nevada, a house of cards built on tourism. Nevada has the highest annual unemployment rate in the country. The jobless rate is stuck above 5%, and now home prices are sliding. In Reno, values are down over 3%. Nevada is a one-trick pony. It relies on gambling and tourism. When inflation is high, people stop taking vacations to Vegas. They stop gambling. The revenue dries up instantly. Nevada is also dependent on people moving there from California. But if Californians are broke or moving to Texas instead, Nevada loses its primary source of new money. Number 8 is Texas. The reality check. Texas is dealing with a massive hangover from overbuilding. It has the 4th most oversupplied housing market in the U.S. Inventory is 53% above normal levels. Builders kept putting up houses, assuming the migration boom would last forever. It didn't. Net migration into Texas has collapsed by 62%. That is a staggering drop, but they issued 15% of all new home permits nationwide anyway. Now you have a flood of new homes in Austin and Dallas with fewer people showing up to buy them. Austin prices are projected to drop by double digits. This is simple supply and demand. Too many houses, not enough buyers. Prices must fall. Number 9 is New York, the commercial real estate nightmare. New York is facing a crisis that starts in the office towers and ends in your living room. Manhattan office vacancy is nearing 20%. Rents are falling. This destroys the value of commercial real estate, which is a huge chunk of the city's tax revenue. When the city can't collect taxes from office buildings, who do they come after? You, the residential homeowner. New York saw the second largest domestic population outflow in the nation. Over $14 billion in personal income left the state in 1 year, mostly heading to Florida. This is a cascade failure. The banks are stressed, the city is stressed, and the homeowner is left holding the bag. Number 10 is New Jersey. The foreclosure paradox. New Jersey has $92 billion in unfunded pension liabilities. Yet it ranks among the highest for foreclosure rates even while home prices are technically rising. This is a massive warning sign. It means the market is being propped up artificially. Unemployment is climbing to 5%. Property taxes are the highest in the nation. People are being squeezed to death by the cost of living. Even if your home value looks high on paper, your equity is being eaten alive by taxes and inflation. And when the music stops, New Jersey has no money to fix it. Number 11 is Connecticut. The demographic decline. Connecticut has the highest debt per resident in the country. Over $27,000 of liability for every man, woman, and child. But the real problem is who lives there. The population is aging rapidly. The workforce is shrinking. Young families can't afford to live there, so they leave. This leaves fewer workers to pay for a growing number of retirees. It is a mathematical impossibility. Housing in Connecticut is a slow-motion crisis where the buyer pool literally dies off or moves away, eroding liquidity and value over time. Number 12 is Arizona, the affordability breakdown. Arizona used to be cheap. It isn't anymore. Housing costs have risen so fast that the state shifted from affordable to unaffordable in record time. Now the correction is here. Tucson prices are down over 2%. CoreLogic predicts a 70% chance of continued price declines. And here is the kicker. Arizona cut its income tax recently. That sounds good, but it reduced revenue just as the economy is slowing down. Now the state has a budget deficit and no financial cushion. When the recession hits, Arizona will have no tools to fight it. Number 13 is Oregon. The employment shock. Oregon is flashing a bright red warning light. Unemployment jumped nearly a full percentage point during an expansion. That should not happen. Oregon's tax system relies on high earners. When those people lose their jobs, state revenue collapses instantly. Tech is slowing down. Remote work is hurting Portland's commercial core, and foreclosures are up 20%. Oregon is a high-tax, high-cost state that is seeing its economic engine sputter out. So what does this mean for you? If you are in one of these 13 states, you need to be proactive. First, watch the foreclosure filings in your specific county. If they are rising while unemployment is low, that is the canary in the coal mine. Second, track inventory. If you see for sale signs piling up in your neighborhood and sitting for months, the price crash is coming next. Third, and this is where Tax Hack Pro comes in, you need to understand your tax liability. If you are forced to short sell, or if you face foreclosure, the IRS might consider that forgiven debt as income. You need a strategy to protect yourself from a tax bomb on top of a housing loss. Also, look at your property tax assessments. If values are dropping, you need to appeal your property taxes immediately. Do not pay taxes on a value that no longer exists. The housing crisis isn't a theory. It is documented reality in these 13 states. The combination of rising foreclosures, falling prices, and state fiscal incompetence is a lethal mix for your net worth. Don't let this blindside you. We are going to keep tracking this data month by month. If you found this analysis valuable, you know what to do. Hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed to Tax Hack Pro so you have the financial intelligence you need to survive the coming storm. We will see you in the next video.